I laughed. Dad always had a way of making me feel good. Thanks for the game, I said. I really love it. I met this awesome guy who's been showing me the ropes and... Dad held up a hand.
Hold on a second.
He said.
A guy?
I shrugged. Yeah, Sir Leo.
I see. And who is Sir Leo?
I don't know. Just some 16-year-old kid. Dad rubbed his chin with his finger and thumb.
I should talk to you about the dangers of online gaming.
He mused, half to himself, half to me.
That would be in the Dad Handbook.
I rolled my eyes. Did he think I was 2 years old? This was the 21st century. We kids were warned about online predators since grade school. Yeah, I know, I said. I'm not stupid.
If I thought you were stupid, I wouldn't have bought you the game to begin with.
Dad replied with a smile.
And I mean not ever.
Okay, sure, whatever. I heard this lecture a million times, though usually about Facebook and MySpace. Parents were so paranoid about stuff like that. Anyway, I'm sure the guy lives a million miles away.
Or he could live right in your backyard. You never know.
I nodded, keeping a poker face, even though the idea of Sir Leo living in my backyard was extremely appealing. Right. Well, I promise I'll be careful.
Cool.
Dad rose from his chair, having fulfilled his responsible parent duty of the day.
Well, want to play a bit? I set up a second computer right next to mine in the study. We can adventure together.
I grinned. Finally. I was hoping you'd say that. We headed over to the computers and logged in. I glanced over at Dad's screen. He was a tall, handsome human knight with golden armor and a magnificent white horse. Very fancy compared to the odds-and-ends Sir Leo wore to battle. Cool, I said, impressed. How'd you get all of that stuff? Dad laughed.
A lot of wasted hours playing,
he said. He pressed a button and his horse reared and whinnied.
I'll ride over to your village and meet you there.
I logged into Alora and realized she was still lying in the bed I'd left her in. Blushing a bit as I remembered Sir Leo's goodnight kiss, I quickly ran her outside the inn and waited for Dad to arrive. I was psyched to be playing with him at last and couldn't wait to see how much his character kicked butt. I looked over to the screen again. Wow, he was level 80. That must have taken forever to get that high. How often do you play, Dad? I asked curiously. He shrugged.
I don't know, whenever I have some free time.
I'm bored, Emily moaned, coming up behind us. Dad, will you play Barbies with me?
Not now, sweetie,
Dad said, not looking away from the screen as he galloped toward the elfin village Laura lived in.
Why don't you go watch a DVD or something?
I hid a smile. Take that, Emily. It was my turn to hang out with Dad. Huffing her annoyance at being ignored, Emily retreated to the living room, making a big show of stamping her feet as she left. I turned back to the computer screen. A moment later I saw Dad's character approach on horseback. I glanced over at his screen and saw Alora standing waiting for him. How cool was that? Like looking at yourself with someone else's eyes. Rockstar Bob waved at Alora. I made Alora wave back.
Ready to play?
Dad asked. I nodded. Let's go kill stuff. Suddenly, a beautiful black-haired woman wandered up to Dad. She was wearing a low-cut dress and carried a very impressive-looking silver staff that sparkled with gems. I watched Rockstar Bob jump off his horse and give her a hug. The woman winked at him and then blew him a kiss. Evidently they knew each other.
Hey, Bob, what you up to?
Nothing much. How are you?
Me, Excel's been giving me trouble again. But what else is new?
Rockstar Bob gently pats Lady Adriana. Ah, poor you.
Thought you'd be stuck with the brats today. Isn't it your turn?
I shot a glance over at Dad. Brats? Was she talking about Emily and me? Dad tossed me a sheepish smile.
Sorry,
he said.
Lady Adriana doesn't always have the most tact.
Evidently, I muttered, turning back to my screen.
I've got my children with me this weekend, if that's what you mean.
Law, KK, listen, I was going to start a raid group. You interested in coming to Blue Rock with us if I do?
Hang on a second.
I felt Dad's eyes on me again. He was obviously trying to judge how upset I'd be if he blew me off for this woman. If he was really stuck with the brats today. Go ahead, I said with a sigh. I didn't want him to feel like he was forced to entertain me.
Are you sure?
He asked, looking a little worried.
I mean, I know I said I'd play with you, But I've been dying to do Blue Rock for a long time.
I waved a hand. It's no big deal. I've got a few other quests to do locally anyway. Dad looked relieved.
Okay, if you're sure. And you can always watch me play.
Sure, that would be fun. Not catching my sarcasm or just choosing to ignore it, Dad turned his attention back to the screen, back to Lady Adriana. A few minutes later, he was completely lost in the game, typing furiously as he rode through the countryside to the Blue Rock. I stared at the screen, trying to decide if I wanted to log off or play a little anyway. It didn't seem that much fun to play by myself.
Parentheses. Yeah, you're online. I was hoping you would be, end parentheses.
I grinned, my heart picking up the pace of the instant message. Sir Leo had just signed in, and he was, unlike everyone else in the known universe, happy to see me. Begin parentheses. Woot! So glad you're here. Do you want a quest, end parentheses?
Parentheses. Of course, end parentheses.
Begin parentheses. How's your day going? End parentheses.
Parentheses. Good. Just got out of drama practice. End parentheses.
I tried to picture him on stage, reciting lines. It was tough to form a mental image when I had no clue what the guy looked like in real life. He could be an ugly troll for all I knew. 50 pounds overweight with a zit-covered face, but for some reason I didn't think so. Yeah, he probably pictures you as a 6-foot-tall blonde elf, too, and we all know how true that fantasy is. The thought sobered me. What would Sir Leo think of me if he met me in real life? Would he be disappointed? Would he think I was a freak like everyone else did in my school? I realized I hadn't typed a response. Begin parentheses. Drama? How cool. I always wanted to try it, but I think I'd get stage fright, end parentheses.
Parentheses. LOL. Nah, you'd be fine, I'm sure. I mean, you roleplay with me. That's very similar, end parentheses.
Begin parentheses. It's a lot different typing into a computer than getting up in front of everyone, end parentheses.
Parentheses. I guess. But it's really not as scary as you might think. I mean, you're up there playing a part. A lot easier than being yourself, end parentheses.
Begin parentheses. If you say so, ... end parentheses.
Parentheses, I do. And I'm always right, remember? End parentheses.
Begin parentheses. LOL, but of course, end parentheses. Alora cheers at Sir Leo.
Parentheses. I thought you were going to be at your dad's this weekend, end parentheses.
Begin parentheses. I am, but he has 2 computers. He's playing next to me, end parentheses.
Parentheses. Ah, cool. I wish my dad played. He's always working, end parentheses.
Begin parentheses. What does he do? End parentheses.
Parentheses, banker. Fun, fun. How about yours? End parentheses.
I started to type in my answer, but then stopped, remembering Dad's warning. Don't want to give out too much information online. Begin parentheses. Why, he's a knight, of course, level 80, end parentheses.
Parentheses, LOL. Right, of course. Silly me. End parentheses.
So, my fine sir, art thou ready to go on a quest or two?
Indeed, my fair lady, now that you are here by my side.